To Iran.
Don't.
What is your message to Iran in this moment?
Don't.
I'm going to bomb the shit out of them. It's true. I don't care. I don't care.
What's the
Iranians will take over. Now they understand why American government is an imperialist, vicious government, and a government that attacks other countries and kills little children. They understand they're fighting the Epstein class that either rape little girls or bomb little girls.
Arabia security alert. We heard also from Jennifer Griffin saying no injuries. The embassy in Riyadh was empty at the time of this Iranian drone strike, saying no injuries. It was interesting to note that Tom Carrico talked about those one-way drones that were used. They said they were reverse engineered from something that Iranians had used prior, calling it somewhat poetic justice.
So before we begin this important ceremony, and there's no ceremony that can be much more important than this, let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury. Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago, we warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas.
All right, we had to cut into this break. Secretary of State Marco Rubio speaking on the Hill. Let's listen in.
The United States conducted this operation with a very clear goal in mind. I haven't got a chance to see a lot of reporting. I don't understand what the confusion is. Let me explain it to you, and I'll do it once again as clearly as possible. Perhaps you'll report it that way. The United States is conducting an operation to eliminate the threat of Iran's short-range ballistic missiles and the threat posed by their Navy, particularly to naval assets. That is what it is focused on doing right now, and it's doing quite successfully. I'll leave it to the Pentagon and the Department of War to discuss the tactics behind that and the progress that's being made. That is the clear objective of this mission. The second question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bared to be true, because in fact, within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act. Going back to the purpose. The purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability? What they are trying to do and have been trying to do for a very long time is build a conventional weapons capability as a shield where they can hide behind. Meaning, there would come a point where they have so many conventional missiles, so many drones, and it can inflict so much damage that no one can do anything about their nuclear program. That.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honors, and glories unto Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, HaKodash. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone. They do indeed well. Peace and blessings be unto the elect. This is Brother Dawodah from GMS Detroit Camp, coming at you with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, HaKodash. Today, I want to do another in transit. All right, today we're going to be going into this whole thing going on in Iran with America bombing Iran. The Lord's will, this video be edifying unto the elect of the nation of Israel, to whom this message is for. Now, you saw the opening clip, all right, and you have, or the opening clips, I played you 4 clips, 4 or 5 clips actually, you know, so you can string together the meaty parts of this breaking news that's been going on the last few days concerning what's going on over there in the so-called Middle East. So yeah, you had America do this strike on Iran, and this is the top headline, and they did it under the pretense of Iran having this missile capability that they're so nervous about that they have to intervene so that Iran doesn't use it. And who the hell who appointed America as the who appointed them as the police of the whole earth? And that's all BS. They've been saying that whole Iran possessing weapons of mass destruction. They've been using that pretense for a long time. Not just Iran, with different so-called Middle Eastern nations. They've been saying that they have this crazy nuclear capability that they're so frightened of, and they use that as a false narrative to get up in there and do whatever dirt they want to do. But the average American person, they're not thinking like that. They're thinking that this is all righteous, and oh my God, they're defending our democracy. Oh, we can't let them have those weapons. They'll use them on us. And even if Iran does have said technology, did Iran point the silo, whatever? Did they point it at America? Did they say, yeah, you know what? We got America in a few days. We're going to do something about it. No. This is all done off hearsay and rumors that they, alleged rumors, that they, claim that, they were going to hit us first, so we had to do something. And there's, without a paper trail, you can't really believe them. They can make up anything. They can always say, well, we had reason to believe that they were going to do something, therefore we did something first. That's how these devils operate. Right? Now, the scripture says, by peace they shall destroy many. Now, originally that was really talking about Antiochus IV, right? Also known as Antiochus Epiphanes, right? But, in this day and age, we can apply it to, this devil, all right, that's ruling over us now, particularly, all right, DJ Trump. We can apply it to him. But originally that scripture in Daniel, Daniel the 8th chapter, is really talking about Antiochus Epiphanes. All right. But nevertheless, Antiochus Epiphanes, he was an Edomite. And likewise is DJ Trump, Donald Trump, a.k.a. Nero Caesar. All right. And he comes in the same spirit because they're the same people. Anytime you hear of them so-called they're not a peaceful people. Scripture says in Psalm 140 or Psalm 139? It says, continually are they gathered together for war. I believe that's Psalm 139. That's these devils. The war is their MO. They can't get enough of it. And they always are involved in the war for nefarious purposes. It's never because they're trying to do something right. Isaiah 28:10. Here the Ethiopian changes skin with the leopard his spots. It's either Isaiah 28:10 or Jeremiah 28:10. All right. And it says, then may ye do good that are accustomed to doing evil. Esau, he is accustomed to doing evil. He can't do right, even if he tried to do right. Scripture says, if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. You see? So that's this devil. And that's why I played that other clip where he said, look, they either, grape, them little children, or they bomb them. That's the nature of these devils. Watch or read into the Mepstein Miles. I'll say it like that. Hopefully I don't get clipped. You saw the dirt coming out. These devils are heinous. They're out there doing all kinds. They're freaking off on children and even eating them. Look at the files. Where's the outcry? Where's the uproar? You would think that people would be rebelling overnight and saying, oh no, Trump got to get up out of it. He needs to be impeached. But nope. These people, they're in like a they're not on the level. I used to say at one point these people are on a low level. No, they're on no level, not at all. The scripture said well when it says that For the darkness shall cover the earth and gross darkness the people. Meaning these people, they're in a state of heavy ignorance. They got no clue what's going on. Even if you tell them what's going on, they still, it doesn't click. It will not click for them. Even Esau is telling you, yep, we're the devil. Look, they're raping kids, they eating them, but then there's these people, they hear of it, and then it goes in one ear, and it goes out the other ear even faster. So that's the state that this place. But let's keep this going. I want to play a little more.
That's what they were trying to do, is put themselves in a place of immunity where the damage they can inflict on the region would be so high that no one can do anything about their nuclear program or their nuclear ambition.
Now, what evidence do you have of that? What evidence? You see, that's this devil for you. He can throw out he can say anything, as long as it's a so-called white person, and as long as they have that 3-piece suit, oh yeah, it's over. He can say anything, and people will just believe it, especially if he has some type of authority. That shows you that this devil, he got to go. What evidence do you have of that? Just a few months ago, didn't we have the whole uproar concerning the G side that they were doing over there? But then anytime you speak against it, they got a problem with it. Oh no, we have rights to this land. No, the hell you don't. It's not even your land. It belongs unto the true children of Israel.
They are producing, by some estimates, over 100 of these missiles a month.
Now, who estimates by whom? Where's the evidence? Where's the receipts? How do you know this? But again, this devil, he can throw out empty claims, with no evidence to justify his violence. The scripture says, ye weigh your violence upon the earth. You weigh the violence of your hands upon the earth. That's these devils. They're a violent people. They get off on killing. They get off on it. But then after they do their killing, they got to make sure that the people don't get too suspicious. So they put out a cover story to cover their wickedness. And even if Iran truly did have these weapons of destruction and this, that, and the third, okay. Well, don't you yourself possess said weapons? Don't you? That shows you this devil is a hypocrite. Here it is. America has ICBM missile technology. But Iran said, okay, we want that same technology. Now it's a problem for them. It's a problem if they do it, but it's not a problem if America does it themselves. What is that called? That's called being a hypocrite.
Compare that to the 6 or 7 interceptors that can be built a month. They can build 100 of these a month, not to mention the thousands of one-way attack drones that they also have.
Now, you would think by the way he's listing off this military inventory, you would think he works for them. There's no evidence of this that he's bringing out to you. But because it's a so-called white man that says it, that's what the scripture says. When a poor man speaketh and no one listens, when a rich man speaketh, everyone shutteth his mouth, right? Pursuant to the book of Sirach. And we're keeping an eye on this because we know that World War III is something that will take place very soon. We're in like the soft stages of it, if you will. Eventually it's going to pop out into full-out war. We know that the key players is America, the small hats, all right? America, the small hats, Russia, Iran, those are some of the major players within World War III pursuant to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. All right, and that's why we're watching this prophecy closely. That's one of the prophecies we're watching closely pursuant to these different wars. The Lord said, pursuant to Matthew 24, that we shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
They've been doing this for a very long time, and by the way, they've been doing it under sanction. You see the attacks they're conducting right now? They're attacking airports, they're attacking hotels, they're hitting not just military bases, they're attacking our embassies directly, they're attacking facilities that have nothing to do with war.
Why the hell are you even over there? Why are you there? That's why the scripture says that Habakkuk, this devil, he don't keep at home. They're attacking our embassies. Your embassy is in their land. They're attacking our this. It's because you're in their land. They're doing this, they're doing that. Why are you there? You can't keep at home. And you're always in these different places for wicked purposes. You're not there to do anything righteous. You know? This whole time, has this devil said, you know what? You know, we're trying to protect the Iranian people, we're trying to give them some clean water and, improve their infrastructure and, different things like that. We want to give them, seeds and, set up, some proper sewage lines for them and set up this. No, he's not talking about that. That's not why that devil's there. This devil's not in Iran, all right, because he wants to help them or do good. Not even close. Not even close.
With military, and that's a weakened Iran. That's an Iran despite years of sanction. Imagine a year from now or a year and a half from now the capabilities they would have to inflict damage on us. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics. The Ayatollah was a radical cleric. That entire regime is led by radical clerics who don't make geopolitical decisions. They make decisions on the basis of theology, their view of theology, which is an apocalyptic one. That has to be taken very seriously as well. So that was the purpose for what this operation is all about. That's what it's focused on. As the President said earlier today, it is on or ahead of schedule. I will defer to the Department of War to discuss the progress being made at a tactical level, but it was the right decision and an important decision for the safety and security of the world.
Now, who appointed you as the world police? It's definitely something else. Oh, yeah. That's this devil. Now, since I reached my destination, again, you saw the news, America, bombed Iran, and, we're keeping an eye out on it. And we're waiting for the next thing to take place. We're watchmen. I just want to get this Ezekiel 3:17, and that'll be the lesson. It says, "Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel." So all we doing is watching. We see the news, we see what's going on, and we watch and we report. It's very simple. I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel, therefore hear the word at my mouth, and give them warning from me. So yeah, we warn our people. All right. So with that, keep an eye out on the news as far as what progresses next from this. Whether Iran is gonna continue their retaliation, or if Iran does something, or the small hats do something, or America does something, or Russia intervenes. Our praises, honors, and glories be to Yahweh, Shem, El Shaddai, double honors to my apostles and elders, peace and blessings to the elect. Shalom.